Save the Semantics, episode 145. It is June 7th, 2021. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I ramble on for about 20 or so minutes, depending on how I feel and everything. Stretching out a little bit. Oh man, fuck, dude. I think I need a new seat. I need a new office chair, man. I feel like I'm already having like back problems and shit. Fuck, man. I gotta get one of those like ergonomic ones, like a standing desk. I don't know if that's really. I don't really have that space to set that up, but maybe that's something that I could set up in the future. It's really nice out today. It's windy, which is kind of concerning, just because I don't know. I've just recently I've just associated winds as just kind of a sign of like an omen, just fires and everything. Not even a sign of an omen. It's just like it's a cause for fires and shit like that and falling debris. I'm sure you can hear how windy it is where I'm at. I thought it was a good idea to record out here, like I always do, because I'm feeling a little, adventurous, and sometimes I'm anticipating a tree branch falling on me right now. This is kind of the excitement and the risk in that, risk and reward. What's the reward? Nothing. I don't get anything out of it. It's like what those like parkourists, what they do. They just want to get a adrenaline rush, right? People have died from just kind of, just jumping around on buildings and shit. People in like Russia, people in other parts of the world, just fucking jumping around on buildings, just like on the very edge of like a column, just for the hell of it, right? Yo, check this out. Sometimes they fall and die. It's just what happens, right? Risk and reward, I guess. Yeah, it's been, what is it? Doesn't matter. I forgot what I was gonna say. I've, what have I been doing? Just kind of, going about things in a leisurely way. Trying to, obviously take care of myself and everything. I think I just need to give myself like a checkup every week, really. I mean, I do it every day, you know what I mean? But just like kind of verbally say like, I'm doing alright, or I'm doing shitty, I think it just kind of puts things in perspective, and it's also a reminder, if I ever look back on these, which I sometimes do, on to kind of see where I was at that current moment when I was recording and stuff. So yeah, I'd say right now I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good means I feel like I'm doing the things that I feel like I need to be doing in terms of work and everything else. And I don't have this sense of pressure to do certain things that I feel like doing for the sake of doing it. I don't know whether it's like a societal pressure or whatever it is. It's very vague, I know, but that's just kind of it. I think that can apply to a lot of things. I don't feel pressured right at this moment to, do certain things, again, for the sake of doing them. I feel solid at the moment, and hopefully I can maintain that for the time being, despite being in what feels like a windstorm at the moment. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I think it's just periods of time, man. I think 2 weeks ago when I was feeling really shitty, I think it's just a moment in time where I was just feeling down, and I just had a lot of things just kind of culminated to a certain point. It was a boiling point, if you can call it that. And it just kind of, got to me. And, sometimes recently, I kind of feel that way where I'm sort of like in my head about a lot of things. It's been a lot better for sure, but it's just got to take it day by day and everything, and just sort of maintain course and trust yourself that you can kind of get through it. And then you just kind of go about your day or whatever. And I think, as always, I believe that one of the contributors to my overall mental state is what I, consume on a daily basis. What I watch online and whatnot. I think that really can have a pretty significant impact on how I feel during the day. Like, it's honestly, crazy. I've brought this up plenty of times, but just one negative piece of media, whatever the hell that might be, can just kind of fuck up your day if it wants, So I'm not saying that you should avoid everything. I'm just saying that how you look at things just kind of, depends, right? I think I can't be completely ignorant to what's going on right now in terms of, the world and whatnot, but I think the amount of news and everything that I consume, I can kind of control. I just have to be considerate of what I'm intaking, essentially, right? Just everything in moderation, as always. Yeah, that's sort of the mentality and everything, and sort of the process that I try to go by, and I try to want to stick to it. I saw Bo Burnham's new special, and I think a lot of people have, had a lot of discussion about it. It's a very reflective piece, and it, I think a lot of people really resonated with it, and myself included. I felt that a lot of the things that he brought up were very, some a lot of the things that I felt as well, just sort of this kind of disparity, this despair that you feel, just kind of feeling kind of helpless and hopeless and state of being, and feeling like you're unable to do anything, just feeling stuck, right? Those are things that are pretty heavily hinted at and brought up in the special, and it's I think I really appreciate it, because there's not a whole lot of pieces, there's not a whole lot of media that really makes me kind of reflect on my own state of being and everything. And once in a while, I don't like to consume super heavy content all the time, but I'm glad that I watched it this weekend, and it was funny too. There's a lot of great bits in there. But yeah, just in terms of, he has his song about the internet is probably going to be the most well known from the special, for sure. It's the most intricately crafted in terms of lyrics and everything, and how the song kind of progresses, and you just you feel like you're in a circus with this circus, or some type of I don't know. It's like demonic, just talking about just this entity known as the internet, and kind of what it offers and all of the things that it has, and you're just kind of like, well, okay. Shit, man, what do I do with this? It's just so much. Like, it's just an abundance of shit, you know? And I think if, I'm trying to kind of tie things together in my own sphere, that's kind of how I feel with just the amount of things that are out there. It's just so abundant, there's just so much shit, and it's really hard to kind of condense it down into things that you want to, I don't know, maybe things that are a little more, things that are more healthy, or things that are more worthy of your time, you know what I mean? It's just hard to kind of seek those things out. There's just so much shit. Like, I could... I'm trying to think... Imagine jotting down every single piece of thing, like every single piece of, internet shit that you see. If you're scrolling through Twitter, just think about... I don't know, I'm just trying to think about all of the posts that you see, right? And it's just so... It's so much. It really is. Because, you're just going through hundreds of tweets or posts, whatever social media platform you're using. You're just going through it. And I know this is not crazy. This is not a crazy thought. This has been talked about, but it's just, there's no way you can even really remember every single thing that you saw in the last 20 seconds of you scrolling through Twitter or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's definitely going to have an effect on you and how you your mental state. I think Bo brought up like a point where he was just like making fun of the younger generation and how our brains are like corrupted with shit, and how we have like certain how we're going to have certain issues growing into adulthood. And I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that way for sure. It's just, especially those who are younger than me. I think I lucked out. I think at least my age group, we got, I think the back end of high school was when things started to really pick up in terms of like social media shit. And what you could kind of consume. But now it's just, you got TikTok, obviously. You got, you got everything else. It's just, there's so much stuff, right? And it's like, fuck, man, it's just got to be overwhelming for kids, especially, who are still developing. I'm still developing. I'm not fully developed yet, you know what I mean? What is it, the male brain fully develops at until age 25, right? That's sort of the general estimate of things. So I got 2 years, right? 2 years and I'm kind of fucked. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, it's like, it's both a pro and a con in terms of my general growth, I guess. I could say it's a pro because it means that there's less time for me to be affected by all these, all the fucking, the internet essentially, right? But then I also have 2 years to develop. So after that, I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be like the state of being forever. I know that's not totally true, but you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, oh man, oh shit, I gotta be this person now for the rest of my life, essentially, right? Because I don't believe my personality is going to change all that much, especially from this point on. Obviously, there are changes that I would love to make in terms of how I handle things, my maturity and whatnot. I think I have a decent grasp on things and whatnot, but I still have a lot of, I still feel like I have a lot of child like tendencies in terms of how to deal with things, but man, 2 more years and I gotta fucking grow up, you know what I mean? I know it's not 100% true, I get that, but there's, it feels that way. There's that kind of pressure too, right? I don't know, scientific pressure. If you hit a certain age, you gotta be an adult. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think, you know, I mean, I think that's more of a societal pressure, really. I think, I don't know how much linkage you can put between what science says versus what society says. I'm sure there's a good amount, but yeah, yeah, people gotta grow up fast, man. People gotta grow up really fucking fast. I was reading, I think there was like one comment or post on Reddit that was sort of like discussing this and kind of brought it up how, they were older. I think they were like in their 40s or 50s, and they were just talking about how they felt bad for the younger generation, right? There's that stigma of, oh, you youngins have it way easier than the older generation, which is, probably partially true in a sense. But they also have it harder, because they have to grow up way more quickly, and I think obviously there's some level of, I don't know, I think that's kind of related to developed countries. Obviously this is much more of a case for kids growing up in, the US and whatnot. They have to kind of take on these maybe responsibilities, or they just have to kind of gain an understanding of the world on such a, quicker basis, if that makes sense. Like, they have to learn way more quickly things, because then, they kind of fall behind in a sense, right? They got to know way more shit. Not necessarily they have to, but they're just thrown at them just way more stuff, and it's just like, man, I don't know. It's fucked up. It is. It sucks. I feel for them for sure. I'm not quite too far from that. It's really not that much of a distance in terms of where I was at a few years ago. But it's been enough time for me where I'm like, okay, I'm far removed enough from high school and from being a kid to kind of, understand that I feel lucky that I don't have to kind of be in that sort of environment anymore in a sort of a academic setting in a sense, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but I just think about the kids, man. No, dude, like, really do think about the kids. Like, they're dealing with a lot, especially now, just with everything going on. It's a lot of shit, man. I really hope that in the future there's some type of, right, social safety net. There won't be, because we live here, we live in the States, and it's just, and everything about the infrastructure in terms of health and whatnot is never going to be adequately addressed. That's a very cynical outlook on things, but it's just, historically speaking, that's just kind of been the fact. But there's just not really a whole lot for kids to, there's not really a safety net for kids who are dealing with all this shit. Like, I don't know if is there really a support group or anything like that for kids that, you know what I mean? It's just, there's not a lot. It doesn't feel like there's a lot, because I certainly know that I didn't really have, anything to kind of, handle that. Fortunately, I never felt like, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, back in, high school and stuff. I didn't really, at least I didn't feel like, I didn't really deal with significant, like, mental health issues. I feel like, once in a while, I dealt with some stuff, but it wasn't as bad as what some other, other kids dealt with. And I felt, felt lucky about it. I just didn't really, I don't really feel like I reflected a lot in high school. You know what I mean? I don't, I'm trying to, it's really weird to think about where I was mentally when I was younger. I just don't know if I really had moments of really reflection, you know what I mean? I think I was mature enough to handle situations. I was mature enough to kind of be like, okay, what I did was wrong, and I'm growing from that. But you really are not. You really don't have. I was gonna say agency, but that's not the right word. I just think you don't have the mental capacity. You don't have the same mental capacity when you were 16 versus where I'm at right now, where I'm 23, right? So 7 years ago, yeah, it's super different. I just don't, I can't, I don't know, I don't even know what a conversation with 16-year-old self would be like, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of, immaturity. Obviously, 14-year-old self, that one's pretty easy to gauge. Like, I was just kind of going on about a bunch of shit, thinking that I knew what I was talking about, but it's just not true at all. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. Yeah. What else? Yeah. Essentially, my whole I had a lot to think about after watching Bo Burnham's special, and it's just I also too, I was kind of thinking about kind of my own creative projects, which I don't really have any, you know what I mean? I don't really have a whole lot in terms of creative stuff going on right now, to be completely honest. And that kind of, it gave me a little bit of a push to kind of think about things that I wanted to do. Because, in a sense, it is like inspiring what he did, right? He did, essentially most of the stuff on his own, right? He recorded the songs and, filmed and everything like that. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is kind of something that I want to do as well. And I've seen a lot of people kind of bring that up, saying like, man, I want to push myself to do something like that too. I think that's really cool, that type of work can kind of, motivate someone or influence someone to kind of act, and try to do something of their own. And I don't know. Again, it's just I feel kind of blank at the moment in terms of what I want to do. I've talked about things that I might want to do, right? It's like, oh yeah, maybe with this podcast I can kind of expand it or whatever. That was something that I've talked about, a few years ago. I was actually looking back on, some of the older episodes, some of the earliest ones, and it's kind of funny. I was actually doing, in terms of the amount of downloads, amount of views or listens that I was getting, it was doing pretty well. I think, I was getting like 100 downloads or so for like the first, for those first episodes. I was like, oh damn, I think people, maybe initially there wasn't a lot, but maybe some people went back and started to listen, which is really interesting. Obviously now it's completely dead, and now it's just kind of me for myself and everything, and I don't really promote this on anything. I think I was promoting it on Instagram initially, I think, from what I remember. I think I posted it on like my story and whatnot. Like, hey guys, check out my podcast, giving it a shot or whatever. And it's just, things happen. Things obviously happen, or things just kind of don't really work out in the way it does. But I don't know. It's I was like, damn, 100 downloads or listens is that's pretty good, you know? And then just kind of accumulated over time. That's pretty cool. I just don't think, you know, I think it's a little difficult to kind of keep up with, not even necessarily keep up, but it's difficult to really gain, or it's difficult to maintain an audience with content that's not very, this is, I don't really feel like what I'm doing right now is necessarily the most engaging in a sense. I understand that, right? This is just essentially just me rambling on. There's not really a conversation to be had. Of course I could, do it with guests or friends or whatever. I've done it in the past, but, yeah, I just, that's just kind of what it is. But it really it really comes down to kind of what I want to do, regardless of who listens or who watches my shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think, that's like the one thing that I've sort of kind of moved towards. It's like, if I want to do something, I kind of want to do it just for the sake of myself, right? But it's just, the problem is, like, what do you actually want to do, right? Like, what do you want to do in terms of your, your creative goals or whatever? What the fuck do you got? It's like, oh shit, what do you want to do, So is this podcast something that you kind of want to work with? Do you want to build something off of this? Do you want to try to get back into like interviewing and stuff like that? I felt like that was I enjoyed doing that. It's just kind of it's hard to set up interviews when you have absolutely like no, there's no backing, right? Like I don't have this is not something that's like known by any means. It's just, it's hard to do. It's really hard to kind of do something without building it up. So, maybe I'll try to build back something up with this, or I'll do something else. I don't know what it is. I think I just have to kind of, do whatever the fuck, but it's just, man. I just have to kind of think about it. And then I'll just think about it again until the end of time. And then when I'm like, 80, if I get to 80, I'll be like, maybe one day I'll do something with this podcast. And then I die. So that's just kind of, that's where things are headed, you know what I mean? I won't be, the thing is, like, if I do get to that point, I won't necessarily regret it. I think it'd just be funny. For the next 60 years, I'm just talking about, maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do this. And just, like, not actually doing it. And then I'll just compile everything that I've recorded over the course of my life, put it into, like, one big mega super file. And it was just, like, a giant, like, MP4 audio file. It's like fucking 100 hours or something, probably more than that, of just me just going. It'll be like a super cut of me just going, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe this is a good idea. I'll just put, some energy towards it, and then just kind of never do it. It's cynical, I know, but I just don't know. I just kind of, someone would, someone listening to this is probably just wanting to be like, I just want to slap the shit out of me. Like, dude, just fucking do the thing. And it's like, well, I don't know what to do. What do I do? What do you want me to do? Internal pressure. That's what the thing is in this case, right? Like, in terms of what I want to do outside of work and everything. And I just, I don't know, man. I just gotta figure it out, dude, Yeah, I don't know. I think I just I just have to, there's a lot of things I gotta do. And in terms of whatever, taking care of myself, I've brought that up so many times, but That's the first thing, right? And in that process, if I'm able to kind of find something that like is like a cool hobby or whatever, then maybe I'll try my best to kind of stick with it. I really, this is kind of a hobby, right? What I'm doing right now, but I do want to do more. Whatever that is, I do want to try something else. Maybe I'll do, I don't know, maybe I'll try like another audio recording thing. Maybe I'll do something like that. But I just have to kind of just do it and see where it goes. Actually, I do have one idea that I was thinking of doing. I was thinking if I have enough motivation, if I have enough perseverance, I was thinking maybe I could do a recording, just like this, like a normal recording of me speaking in English, and then another one of me speaking in Japanese. That way, I can practice my Japanese, because it's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of dog shit right now. I think it'll be good practice just to like monologue and just talk about shit in Japanese. It might be like a struggle at first because I don't know the words to describe whatever I'm feeling or whatever I want to talk about, but I think that might be cool. So I might do that. I might do like a thing like that. So yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna put that down in my notes, and then one day I'll get around to it. No, maybe I'll try that out. Maybe I'll try that out. We'll see. Anyways, this has been Save the Semantics, signing off.